Have you ever been talking to a woman and she then said something that was intended to make you feel uncomfortable? Or you're talking to a woman and things seem to be going well, but she then starts playing hard to get? Why would she want to create that sort of awkward, uncomfortable feeling between you and her? What's going on? Ultimately, the reason why a woman will test a man is to see how genuine he is. So, genuine in terms of his confidence, his interest in her, and his behavior. So, for example, with his confidence, how confident is he really? He may be talking to her as though he's a confident guy, and he isn't an insecure guy, he isn't a nervous guy, he is a guy who's very confident, and he believes in himself, but is he going to continue believing in himself if she challenges him a little bit? If she says something that is intended to make him feel uncomfortable, or is intended to see if he'll start doubting himself? Is he actually going to start doubting himself, or is he genuinely a confident guy? And if she sees that he is genuinely a confident guy, then she feels like, okay, she doesn't need a test anymore. But if she's talking to a guy who is acting as though he's confident or pretending and putting on a mask of being confident, then she wants to find that out. Because women don't want to get into a relationship with a guy who is going to be insecure, because that sort of guy will tend to become very needy, jealous, and overprotective, and will tend to need her to be propping him up all the time in terms of helping him feel confident, in terms of her having to reassure him of her interest and having to be softer and more gentle with him. Otherwise, he might just fall apart. He might not be able to remain confident. So that was in terms of confidence. Now, in terms of interest level, a woman wants to be able to see how interested the guy really is. If she starts to play a bit hard to get or isn't being reassuring of her interest, is he then just going to give up and stop talking to her, or not text her anymore, or stop dating her because he's just having sex with her for now if he's dating her? Or if they're talking in person, he's just talking because he's hoping to get laid, or he's hoping that he can get a woman to be interested in him so he can feel good about himself. But how interested in her is he really? Does he really find her attractive? Is he really interested in her? Now, that said, it doesn't mean that in order for a guy to get with a girl, he needs to show that he's genuinely interested, because women also do go for guys who aren't that interested in them but are making them feel attracted, right? So if the guy is very confident, or if he's able to flirt and use humor, or if he has what I call emotional masculinity, or if he uses what I call masculine charm, if he has untamed energy, there are so many emotional traits or behavioral traits that women find attractive in men. And if a woman is interacting with a guy who's displaying some traits that make women feel attracted, then she's going to feel attracted to him. And sometimes if the guy isn't that interested in her, but she's feeling very attracted, she's then going to feel compelled to hopefully get him to like her in return. But not all women will do that, right? Not all women will chase and pursue a man who isn't interested in them, because a woman may have experienced that before, where she has chased a guy who isn't really that interested in her, and it just turned out to be a difficult relationship where she was always trying to get the guy to be interested in her, and he really wasn't. He just didn't find her that attractive, but he slept with her anyway. And finally, number 3 is how genuine his behavior is. So some guys will put on an act of being nicer than they are or want to be, and some guys will put on an act of being a really cool bad boy type when they're not, right? So the woman wants to be able to test to see whether or not his behavior is genuine, right? Is he putting on an act, or is that who he really is? And if it is who he really is, for example, if he's a good guy and he's confident and he's able to make her feel attracted during the interaction by displaying some traits that make women feel attracted, then she's going to be attracted to him and she's going to like him. But if he's a guy who's putting on a fake act of being nicer than he really is or wants to be in order to hopefully get a chance with her, then she's not going to be attracted to that because it's not genuine. She also looks at that as being insecure, right? The guy thinks that he needs to put on an act of being nicer than he is or wants to be in order to be liked by her. So he is a sort of guy who doesn't feel like he's good enough. And if a woman is attractive, she usually doesn't want to get herself involved with a guy who doesn't feel like he's good enough, because that will usually lead to him being very insecure in the relationship, jealous, overprotective, and so on. On the other end of the spectrum is a guy who acts really cool and bad boy or aloof and disinterested. So even with the disinterested one, for example, a guy may act as though he's not even that interested in her, or not interested in women in general, right? He is a guy who's doing his own thing. He has purpose in life. He is focused on himself. But when he's interacting with a woman that he finds attractive, he may really like her and be hoping to get a chance with her. And if she senses that he's just putting on an act of being a guy who's disinterested, then she will test him by talking about another guy who likes her, or talking to another guy in the group and showing interest in him. And she will then look to see how he is reacting. Does he suddenly have that look of rejection on his face? Does he have a bit of panic in his eyes where he's looking and seeing if she likes him more? Does he seem sad now that, the girl that he likes another guy? Or when she's talking about another guy that likes her, does he then try to put the other guy down or talk about himself in ways that he hopes will make her like him more? So talk about how much of a better guy he is compared to that guy she's talking about, what he's achieved in life, and so on. Or is he a guy who genuinely remains unaffected? Does he really not care whether she likes him or not? Is that really genuine? So if a woman challenges you in the moment to test how genuine you are, don't react defensively or panic in any way. Depending on the test, you can either be non-reactive, or you can laugh it off, or you can laugh at her in a loving way, or you can playfully mess with her in return. You can playfully challenge her in return. If your confidence is genuine, you will be able to react to her in one of those ways. Yet, if your confidence isn't genuine, then you will naturally crumble under the pressure and reveal that you aren't secure. And for some guys who aren't genuinely confident, they may find it annoying and frustrating and unfair that a woman will do that, right? Why would she test a man? Just be nice, right? I like you, just be nice now. But as I've explained in this video, there are certain reasons why women will test, because most of the guys that a woman meets will happily have sex with her if she says yes. So she has to be a little bit cautious and just check to see if the guy is actually genuine. For one woman, the thing that matters the most is whether his confidence is genuine. Another woman, whether his interest is genuine, and another woman, whether his behavior is genuine. So she wants to be able to see that the way that he is behaving is genuine, and if it is, then she's happy to cut him a little bit of slack in terms of him not being 100% confident. He seems fairly confident. He's a little bit nervous, but that's all right because his behavior really is genuine. He really is being his authentic self. Yet for another woman, if a guy really is being his authentic self, but he genuinely isn't that interested in her, then that's the most important thing to her, because she doesn't want to get herself involved with a guy who doesn't really like her. That's not really going to be the best experience for her. And finally, another type of woman will cut a guy some slack and will overlook the fact that he's not that interested and that his behavior isn't even that genuine if he really is so confident to the point where she feels magnetically attracted to him. And by so confident, I don't mean that he's showing off or being macho, but that he really is more confident than her. She's able to look up to him and respect him because he's so much more confident than her. So she then looks at him as a guy that she's going to be able to feel feminine around. She's going to be able to feel safe with because he really is confident. She's going to get that experience of being with a guy that she can look up to in terms of how strong he is compared to her. And by the way, if you want to get an exclusive lesson on confidence where I teach you my most powerful mindset for confidence that instantly makes you more confident around women that you find attractive and then causes you to become increasingly confident every day from then on, then you can watch that at masterattraction.com. So I'll either see you there, or if you want to continue learning from me on YouTube right now, I'll see you in the next video.